Gun violence strikes in the city of Asheville tonight. Here's what we have confirmed. APD confirming 2 victims were transported to an area hospital. Here's what we know. Reminders of Tropical Storm Fred exist a year after the storm came through and devastated Haywood County. Just take a look around and you can see the devastation, still an eyesore for many residents, leaving them wondering if and when the rural county will look like it once did. Bryce Evans has been missing since July 31st. Since then, there has been no word from the missing pre-med student. However, his cell phone was pinged off a cell phone tower in Cherokee, North Carolina. Now, we did have a chance to go up earlier to their command site just off of Shaw Branch Road. The fire was about 300 yards from where we were at, and that's where they are currently posted. They're going to be there all night. Walk with me over here. I want to show you some of those images of the confiscated or seized items. Take a look in the corner. You can see Rice Krispie treats, Kit Kats, even Reese mini cups down there. We also have a bag of chips in this monitor, and our farthest one, Oreos. Now, at first glance, these items, of course, look like everyday run-of-the-mill products you could find in a store. However, they couldn't be farthest from that. They're actually laced with THC. We've actually changed this off of Pigeon Road, of course, Pigeon River behind us. We've been monitoring this since about 3 o'clock today. We've been at this location for several hours now, and you can still see there is a lot of power and momentum behind that river. I want to go ahead and bring in Allison Richmond, who's with Haywood County. She's one of the public information officers. And Allison, thanks for doing this today. What have you guys noticed out there? Restaurants with their doors locked and signs that read closed due to Asheville water line shutdown. This as tensions boil between City of Asheville leaders and business owners. Yeah, that crash happened around 6:30 this evening. The aircraft carrying 3 people went down on Camp Catalina, which is in the western part of Transylvania County. And as you mentioned, about 100 campers on site there. Now, the physical location of that crash site is away from the cabins and dining hall. The mountains are expected to be hit with several inches of rain, giving way to the potential risk of flooding and power outages, which has emergency management crews in McDowell County on standby. It is a traumatizing day for both students and staff members here at Tanglewood Middle School in Greenville. As you can see, cautions tape is still up. Law enforcement officers still on campus. We know, as you mentioned, 1 student was injured. They were shot, taken to an area hospital. No word on their condition at this hour. Yeah, you know what? Not a lot of people downtown Asheville tonight. One reason being, it's pretty cold, especially when that wind hits you. It is freezing outside. But another thing, the snow, you can see on this car already, there's some buildup here, a light dusting throughout a lot of these parking lots here. We're on Page Avenue in downtown Asheville, and just go ahead and take a look at the street. You can see there is snow starting to build up. As Ian makes its way through the Carolinas, all eyes were on the radar and changing track of the storm. College football fans, staff, and students thankful the Clemson Tigers will face off against the NC State Wolfpack Saturday night. It was here outside of the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office where fellow men in blue and community members gathered to pay their respects to fallen Sheriff's Deputy Austin Allridge. Outside of the office, you can now see his police unit covered with flowers, candles, and a photo of the 25-year-old.
If you just come in, folks, you put your hand on somebody else.
Emotions remain high.
Grief is the price you pay when you love somebody, and I'm just going to pay it.
That memorial over there only expresses what we think every day about our Sheriff's Department, about our law enforcement.
Deputy Austin Allridge shot Tuesday afternoon while responding to a domestic call.
Sadness. I just wanted to let it be known that the blue is supported in this community, and I just wanted to show my respects.
He died at the hospital that night.
It's just devastating. It's just, you know, he was good and he was trying to protect his community.
Sheriff Chuck Wright still coming to terms as the 25-year-old's car is now a memorial.
Ain't nobody perfect, but I promise you, if I could hire 100 more just like him, I'd do it right now. Because he represented good.
Sheriff Wright told us Deputy Allridge was known for his sense of humor, work ethic, and most importantly, his commitment to serve and protect.
Well, I want him to be remembered as somebody who had a commitment, you know, and a cause. It was bigger than him, it was bigger than me.
The loss not only hitting the sheriff's office, but impacting the community Allridge was protecting.
No, I didn't know him, but it doesn't matter. I feel the pain.
The community support helping those who wear the badge heal.
It is so encouraging to be a part of a community that believes in their law enforcement.
The flags at half staff outside of the sheriff's office, a reminder.
Well, we'll move past it. I mean, he won't never be forgotten, and we won't leave him behind, so to speak, but we'll press forward because that's what he would want us to do.
I'm told this upcoming Friday, it's anticipated a candlelight vigil will be held in honor of Deputy Aldridge here at the sheriff's office around 8 p.m. In Spartanburg County, Samiar Nefzi, News 13. Jody Reed's daughter was walking to the bus stop when she discovered syringes scattered along the path. So she called Asheville police to come clean them up, but they were unable to do so. So who do you call when something like this happens to you?
We know that hypodermic needle use is something that is still consistently going on in our area. And with that means you're going to probably have needles left at public areas. So it is something that we're continuing to see and we want to take very seriously.
It's full of needles. I'm scared for the kids. I'm scared for somebody to get hurt or somebody to be exposed to some kind of disease.
Jody Reed says for the last 2 to 3 days, the syringes have been scattered around her daughter's bus stop, and she's worried she'll find more.
So I think once you see this type of activity in areas, it historically, I've seen, stays in those areas.
I spotted around 10 syringes without caps and the needles exposed. People passing through the area also concerned.
And that is just unacceptable.
9th grader Lake Reed made the discovery and alerted her mother.
It really worries me because there's even younger kids who ride the bus here and catch the bus in the morning, and I don't want them to have to learn about that kind of stuff at such a young age.
I reached out to the Asheville Police Department to find out who's responsible for cleaning up sites like this. A spokesperson says they will help when they can, but due to staffing shortages, calls for improperly disposed syringes are not a high priority.
But the reality is, you're talking about when you have this type of call versus a 911 call where somebody's got an emergency, we know what we're going to have to do, unfortunately. But the good thing is we do have a couple of resources that are available.
One of those resources, the North Carolina AIDS Project. Raymond Velasquez with WinCap.
Yeah, we get calls pretty often, usually probably a couple times a week. And I think if we did have increased amount of proper syringe disposal areas, I think it would definitely be able to help prevent as much syringe litter there as there is.
So if you happen to come across a situation like this, your best bet is to call WinCap or Steady Collective. In Asheville, Samiar Nefzi, News 13. The upstate community is mourning the loss of 4-year-old Joanna Luckabee after her 17-year-old half-brother, William Hester, was accused of leaving her in a bin to suffocate. Hester is now behind bars and charged with murder and kidnapping. It's a call that started out as a report for a missing child, ending in tragedy.
That kind of just blows my mind. I wouldn't think nothing like that would happen.
On Tuesday, the Greenville County Sheriff's Office found the body of little Joanna Luckabee a short distance away from her home.
We were able to locate a plastic bin in a wooded area behind that residence, and tragically and unfortunately, we located the body of that sweet little 4-year-old girl inside.
Investigators say William Hester, her half-brother, is responsible for trapping her inside the plastic bin that would become an inescapable airless tomb.
It's absolutely tragic. I mean, our thoughts and prayers really go out to the family of little Joanna and them having to cope and just try to have some reasoning in their head and try to figure out exactly what led up to this. You know, how does this happen? And unfortunately, there's no answer for this.
The 17-year-old is charged with her murder and kidnapping for placing her inside the bin without a possible escape.
She loved to come out and do things with her family. She's the sweetest little girl you'll ever meet.
Neighbor Lisa Steele tells News 13 she's known the family for 2 years.
She loved her daddy. She loved her mama too, and Jamie really loved that little girl. He was her world. It's just unbelievable and heartbreaking. I've known Jamie for years, and he was at work during all this, and he's done lost one baby.
News 13 has confirmed through the Greenville County Coroner's Office, Joanna Luckabee is the younger sister of Joe Luckabee, the 18-month-old who died in a hot car in 2018. His grandmother was charged after investigators say she left him inside a vehicle.
No child should be left like that.
As investigators work to figure out exactly what happened, a motive is still unknown. In Greenville, Samiar Nefzi, News 13. In May of 2021, South Carolina signed the firing squad into law after the state was essentially gridlocked, unable to get the necessary drugs needed for the lethal injection serum. However, death row inmates are now pleading with the state Supreme Court, calling it unconstitutional.
Still haunts me. I mean, I don't think I'll ever get over it.
In 2010, Randy Gardner's brother, Ronnie Lee Gardner, became the last name to join the list of inmates executed by firing squad in Utah.
State-sanctioned murders, basically, but it was by our own government.
The graphic photos of 4 bullets lodged in his brother's chest. Unforgettable.
And the holes in his chest were, when I first looked at it, it looked like a bowling ball with an extra hole in it.
Ever since, Gardner has made it his mission to advocate against the death penalty, which brought him to South Carolina, where the firing squad became the newest option for execution.
Yes, I don't understand why there people are allowing it to happen. This is modern times. This is not the Wild West days.
For nearly 10 years, the state has been at a standstill with executions, until last year when both Democratic Senator Dick Harpootliatin and Republican Senator Greg Hembreys argued in favor of instituting the firing squad as an option.
The use of the electric chair is not my preferred method. It's not as humane as a firing squad, quite frankly. You want to use the most humane method available.
In an effort to kickstart executions in the state once again, on May 14th of 2021, a bill to approve the firing squad passed in a bipartisan proposal, 32-11, that was later signed by the governor. Nearly $54,000 later, a metal chair with a head, arms, lap, and leg restraint sits next to the only other available option for execution in South Carolina: the electric chair. Per the State Department of Corrections, when the firing squad is used, the inmate is seated in the chair facing 3 firing squad members with their rifles pointed at the inmate. All 3 rifles have live ammunition.
What the firing squad kind of does to bodies is visibly gruesome.
As it stands, 4 states have approved the method, with only 3 executions taking place in modern times, all of which have occurred in Utah. The method first used on Gary Gilmore in 1977. Then in 1996, John Taylor became the second person executed by firing squad.
There was a single violent moment when bullets blew apart the white target over Taylor's heart. But if execution is to be done, this seemed as efficient and painless a method as any.
And in 2010, Ronnie Lee Gardner marked the last firing squad execution. The method gained the attention of lawmakers in South Carolina after pharmaceutical companies essentially stopped selling states the drugs to create the serum used in lethal injection. Pfizer telling News 13 investigates, "We strongly object to the use of any of our products in the lethal injection process for capital punishment." Looking at the state's execution history, lethal injection became the state's primary method since 1985, with the lesser-used electric chair also as an option. Out of the 43 executions, 36 took place by lethal injection and 7 by electrocution. That according to the Death Penalty Information Center, a nonprofit based in Washington, D.C. However, a workaround for 14 states to get the drugs needed has been to create a shield law, according to a spokesperson for the South Carolina Department of Corrections.
Other states have passed shield laws. We just have not been able to do that.
The Department of Corrections telling us companies won't sell execution drugs to South Carolina until our state law is changed to shield their identities from anti-death penalty activists who have been very effective in chilling the sale of drugs to departments of corrections across the country.
And this had been attempted previously for quite a few years.
Senator Hembry says legislation was ultimately blocked by members in the General Assembly who do not support the death penalty.
It's been an effective strategy. It will not be effective at this point, so it's no longer effective.
The firing squad was set to be unveiled as South Carolina's newest method of execution on April 29th after 57-year-old Richard Moore, convicted in 2001 for the fatal shooting of a Spartanburg convenience store clerk, opted for the method over the electric chair.
We are used to a death penalty that does appear more sanitized and appear more like a medical procedure.
In a Hail Mary attempt, Moore challenging the legality and constitutionality of the firing squad and electric chair in Richland County. Writing, "I believe this election is forcing me to choose between 2 unconstitutional methods of execution. I do not intend to waive any challenges to electrocution or firing squad by making an election." His statement bringing into question the Eighth Amendment, which states excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted.
The Eighth Amendment is something that it's sort of bigger than any individual case. It's been a very subjective thing, deciding what constitutes cruel and unusual. And that's something that also changes over time.
On April 20th, the state Supreme Court granting Moore a temporary stay on his execution.
I do believe that the firing squad has been upheld, a constitutionally sound method of execution. I think it will be ultimately upheld in the courts.
So what's next? Moore's legal team has asked for a stay for two reasons. One, to appeal his case to the U.S. Supreme Court. Second, to see how an ongoing lawsuit in Richland County challenging electrocution and firing squad, claiming both are unconstitutional methods, pans out. The state Supreme Court has not yet released further information on the stay, but has also issued a new temporary stay on a second execution that was planned. In studio, Samiar Nefzi, News 13.